Hi chickens, it's finally time for an episode of Tea and Tarot. It's been a very long time since I've done an episode of Tea and Tarot, for which I can only apologise, but I just had so many other things that I wanted to talk about and other things that I felt like I needed to focus my energy on. Tea and Tarot kind of took a back seat, but it is a series that I want to endeavour to do much more regularly, and I really do enjoy doing it. So I've decided to link this Tea and Tarot up with some Beltane contemplations, because I know that I did do a Wheel of the Year series for one whole Wheel of the Year, and since I'm not doing that anymore, I thought it might be quite cool to link Tea and Tarot in with each of the 8 festivals. So I'm going to start with Beltane. The tea that I've chosen for the episode is pomegranate. I am really loving pomegranate at the moment. I am loving pomegranate tea, I am loving pomegranate juice, pomegranate seeds in my fruit salad. It's just got a really sweet, revitalising kick to it. And the tea that I'm drinking is by Heath and Heather, and they've been established since 1920, and this blend in particular is very good. It infuses very quickly for those of you who are impatient with their tea like I am. Pomegranate is one of the oldest known fruits in the world, and there's been a lot of symbolism and a lot of mythology built around the pomegranate, so that's also a really exciting thing about it. And it has some antioxidant qualities. Apparently some recent studies have shown that it can help to unblock arteries for those suffering with those kinds of conditions where that may be a problem. So that's really exciting. It's quite a potent little fruit. It's a kick-ass little fruit. Okay, so before I begin Tea and Tarot this time around, I just want to say I'm really sorry that I'm filming so many videos on this camera instead of filming them on my MacBook. I am aware that there is a difference in audio quality between this camera and the MacBook. I have been told on several occasions, particularly when people are using a tablet device, that this camera doesn't give them the best audio. So I do endeavour whenever possible to use the MacBook. However, I recently updated my iMovie software, and for some reason the update made everything go terribly and horribly wrong. I have no idea what happened, but the audio now won't sync and everything is just awful. I've been online and a lot of people are suffering from the same problem. So I'm just going to have to go with it and use the camera until I get something else sorted, guys. If you have trouble hearing and you really want to hear, I might suggest using headphones, but that's about as helpful as I can be, if I'm honest. I'm really sorry. Right, so I'm going to start this Tea and Tarot episode by reading this little passage from The Earth Cycle of Celebration by Glennie Kindred. Glennie Kindred is a really, really cool woman. I will link her website below so you can check her out. She's really into tree identification and herb identification, the medicinal properties of herbs and that kind of stuff. She does kind of like nature walks where she educates people about different trees and how to use different plants. But she's also really interested in ritual and how to use ritual to enhance your life and how to construct ritual so that it's really effective. So she's someone that I'm really interested in, and she's got that crone energy that I so love to drink from and absorb. And I bought this little booklet that she made from a shop in Penzance a few years ago now, quite a few years ago. And I like to dip into it each time one of the festivals comes around because it's really pretty and it's got these little illustrations in it and stuff. I'm going to read you the underlying energy of Beltane. This is the beginning of the final and most actively potent part of the cycle. All of life is bursting with fertility and the power of its potential. This is the peak of the spring season and the beginning of the summer, when the earth is clothed in green, the vibration of the heart chakra and love. Everywhere life is manifesting itself and moving outwards. The earth's energies are at their most active now, and the same as at Samhain, the veil between the worlds is thin. At dawn and dusk especially, we may slip through from our known reality to touch the realms of fairy and commune with nature spirits. Beltane energy is one of reverence for all of life. Reach out for what it is that you want. Everything is possible. I thought that was really sweet and a really nice way to start things off. I'm also going to link below to the Beltane video that I made last year, so you can check that out as well if you are not that familiar with the energies of Beltane. Beltane is the fire festival, and I like to think of fire as the element of creation and destruction. It nurtures us, it warms us when we're cold, we heat our food with it. It really represents kind of an instant intellectual evolution, that time where we learn to master fire, we learn to make fire. So it really speaks to the root chakra and it speaks to that sense of survival. But it's also very dangerous. It can get out of control very quickly. It can wipe whole forests clean of all the habitation and all the food. It can leave animals and human beings without homes. So it's an element of fear, and it's an element of that sense of losing everything. and the way also that we commit things to the fire, you know, like journals and things which remind us of past times, and we commit it to the fire. It's almost like that total sense of shamanic burial in a way. So fire has this life and death kind of thing melded into it, and I love that about it. And I chose to decide not to focus on so much creation and destruction with the Fire Festival, but to focus on release and receive, which to me is another part of that paradigm. Around the time of Beltane, I like to think about what I want to release into the Beltane fire. And for me, that means what I want to actually shake off, what I want to get rid of, and what I want to commit to the fire so that I can move into this active stage of the year with as little weight on me as possible. And I chose the Seven of Cups for this particular contemplation because I think it's got such a potent illustration of prioritizing to it, you know what I mean? So really looking at everything and getting very clear on what it is that is truly important to you, what it is that you truly wish to pursue, what it is that matters in that moment, and where it is that you can direct your energy in the most potent and effective way possible. I think it's really about assessing what it is that you want to keep hold of and what it is that may potentially be holding you back, or what it is that might be holding you back from your vision, for example. So there's this analogy that a lot of people like to use where there's this doorway and you're standing on this side of the doorway and you know that you really want to get through to the other side of the door and get what's there, but you're weighed down with all of this baggage. You've got all of these boxes and bags and things that you're holding on to and things that you've been carrying for a long time, and you assume that they have some feeling of importance to you or attachment to you, so you can't let them go. However, you realise that you're carrying far too much weight and far too many things to get through this doorway, so your only choice is to drop some stuff off, to try and determine what it is that's really no longer useful. What is it that no longer serves you? You're holding on to it because you have some emotional attachment, but in reality, it's not helping you get where you want to go. And I love that release and receive feeling at Beltane, because actually, if you want to reach out and get something and you have your arms full of things, you can't reach out and get what you want without dropping something else. So sometimes you need to make some decisions. You need to decide to be open and be ready to receive what's coming to you. And if you're holding on to loads of stuff from the past, you can't do that. So with this very active, potent time in the cycle, it's almost like the last chance. For me, it feels like, right, it's your last chance to decide. Have you shed everything that you need to shed? Are you holding on to anything that's weighing you down? Because the energies are high vibration now, like everything is erratic and exciting and moving towards those bursts of solar energy. So for me, it's almost like my last chance to do a little checklist. Do you feel as light and able to move around as possible? Do you feel like there's anything still kind of weighing on you that is making it difficult, that is giving you this feeling of emotional or spiritual inertia? And if so, it's time to deal with that now, you know, before this high summer season kind of starts. That's how it really feels for me. And I also thought about, with Beltane, the fact that with Ostara, we're really celebrating the egg. You know, we're celebrating this potential. We're nurturing our potential. We're building up some belief in our potential. We're seeing where it might be able to go. But really, Ostara is about that time of incubation. It's gestation. It's allowing that seed the time that it needs in the soil. And thinking about those first kind of springs out of the ground that are coming as a result of that incubation. Beltane is the time where the potential has reached its peak and it's really starting to come out, and we are really going to see the fruits of what we've been doing with our inner work. I feel like it's the ultimate switch from inner work to outer work. Suddenly everything is going to explode into life. And for that I chose Trust. This is from the Osho Zen Tarot. I'm kind of branching out into other decks now. So I chose Trust, and the reason I chose it is because no matter how carefully we plan for what we're going to do during these high energy months of summer, and no matter how carefully we kind of form our strategy and think about what needs to happen, in the end, when we go forth into the doing months, we are going forth into a leap of faith to an extent. It's important not to be too rigid. It's important not to be inflexible. It's important to recognise that the map is not exactly the territory, or that your vision that you are kind of celebrating and seeing yourself moving towards is not necessarily going to be exactly like the reality. But that doesn't mean failure. That's not an implication of failure. All it means is that when you look at your vision of how you want something to be and you're working diligently towards that vision, the vision is inspirational and the vision gives you that kickstart of motivation that you might need. But the vision is also static. The vision is also something which is still in your mind, which is not affected by external factors, which is not affected by your mood on any given day, which is not affected by anything else. You know, the vision is something you can keep under glass. It doesn't change. But when you start to bring your vision into the material realm, when what's in your mind starts to become what's in your reality, it is subject to change. And that's not failure. That's just life, you know. When you start to actually try and implement your vision in the tangible realm, you'll need to accept that certain factors are subject to change, that life itself is going to change you as you kind of bring your vision into reality, and so the vision itself will change. And it's always important to be more excited about what the vision is finally going to look like than to be angsty or disappointed or stressed out because it doesn't look exactly how it does in your head. It's really important to relinquish your hold over the vision and accept that you need to be flexible. You know, you need to be like a tree. You need to bend with the wind or the wind will break you. You need to adapt. You need to accept that other possibilities and other options might come into the horizon, or you might realise that you don't want exactly what you thought you want and you might need to tweak it. And those things are okay. Don't hold so diligently to the goal that you had in mind in the first place, because it makes you get a bit of tunnel vision and it makes you shut down from other possibilities and other avenues that are opening up. So really, trust is this beautiful illustration of this woman just in free fall through this beautiful blue pink atmosphere. And really what that says to me about Beltane is that it's time to just release. You know, you've done all of this planning and done all of this visualizing, but now it's time to just go with the flow. Do what you can and understand that you are the co-creator, that you and the universe are doing this thing together. And sometimes if the universe brings up fresh challenges or different outlooks or something different for you to think about, that's okay. That's not, it doesn't mean failure and it doesn't mean disaster. It just means that life and your vision are kind of tangling up together, and that's important to respect and understand at Beltane, I think. The other thing that I thought of with Beltane, which I think comes up in a lot of people's lives around this time, is that Beltane gives us that solar energy, that really powerful, masculine, tenacious, ambitious energy, and it makes us think about our own drive with regard to our financial goals, our health and well-being goals, our businesses, whatever it is, spiritual goals, the whole shebang. And when we get those energies, we have to be really careful that we keep them centered on the self and don't succumb too much to comparison. Because comparison can be really odious and it can be really uncomfortable, and we can take it to a dark place. So again, from the Osho Zen Tarot, I selected the comparison card, which is really clever because it has wood and it has bamboo together in the same image, making the point that, you know, both of these materials are incredibly yielding and incredibly strong. Both are incredibly supple but also incredibly stable. They both have, you know, different purposes, but they're both perfect in their own way. They're both materials that can be used. They're both materials that can be respected, and they do the job that they're supposed to do appropriately. But when comparing them, all of that stuff becomes lost. You know, things become complicated. I mean, what kind of ideas or expectations are you comparing them with? One consciousness might compare them differently to another. They might be compared in terms of them doing the same job, when in reality they're not intended to do the same job in the same way. They're made differently for that reason, and evolution hasn't made any mistakes with them. They just happen to be very different. So this is a really important message, I think, for people who are kind of looking at what somebody else is doing or looking at what somebody else has, and maybe feeling like they're falling short, or maybe feeling like they're not as good at that as that person. You have to make sure that comparison is something which is comfortable and constructive, something which is going to make you feel pragmatic, something which is not going to suck anything from your reservoir of self-love. The moment it becomes poisonous in that way, it's damaging to you, and you need to step away and think about the fact that, you know, one of you is bamboo and the other one of you is wood, but it doesn't mean that one of you is doing better than another. And another thing that I want to say about this Beltane energy of feeling ambitious and really wanting to like make things happen in our lives and use all of that potential, bring it into being, bring it into the light, is that jealousy can often be taken in a very constructive way. If you're envious of what somebody else has achieved, if you look at somebody and think, I'm really jealous of what they've got there, then I often feel that it means that the seed of that success is actually within you too, that you see something in you that is not yet manifested, but that you simply need to kind of, you know, turn your attitude dial and align yourself with that ambition or with that desire or with that creativity in you. So I think jealousy can be taken in a constructive way, and I think that it's really important that jealousy and comparison don't become odious, particularly at this time where everybody is having those buzzing feelings of wanting to do things and wanting to get things accomplished. So the next thing I chose, one sec, it really is good tea. You need to get your hands on pomegranate tea. Let me know in the comments if you also like pomegranate tea, or if you don't like it, because when I first tried it the sweetness was a little odd, I must admit. So from the Gypsy Palace Tarot I chose the Sun. Obvious reasons really, those solar energies are coming forth. So that's the main reason that I chose it, obviously, because Beltane is about that, like, earth leaping into abundance and leaping into life, and the days are getting longer and the nights are getting shorter and there's more heat and we can spend more time outside, and God, it makes you feel so expansive. It really opens up the heart chakra. My heart chakra feels like a shining like rock of green aventurine. You know that green aventurine where it's really potent and really rich looking green? That's how my heart chakra feels around Beltane. It's crazy this year. So I kind of chose the Sun for those incredible expansive feelings and those transpersonal downloads actually that come from solar energy and the way it lifts your mood. But the other reason that I chose the Sun is because I think Beltane is a perfect time to think about the fact that we can choose our attitude. We are in control of our attitude and our outlook. And I really love that about Beltane. It gives me that chance to think about the sunshine within me and about absorbing those solar energies and understanding that I really can turn my dial to actually align and assimilate with those solar energies. And I can choose to pour the sun out of me too. I can give those outpourings, those light rays. I can show people the best of me and I can have the best of them back for me. And it just feels really beautiful when you recognise that your response to something, the way you frame a situation, has a lot to do with how badly it affects you. And a lot of the time at Beltane, I tend to release emotional reasoning. Emotional reasoning is this cognitive inflexibility which comes when you kind of assume that the way you feel about something is what that something really is. So however bad you feel about the situation is how bad the situation really is. When in reality, when you step back from emotional reasoning and you realise that actually you're painting the situation that badly through entertaining the emotions you're having about it and fostering the emotions that you're having about it, you recognise that actually you can switch up that dial, you can decide to reframe the situation, and those solar energies really help me to do that, and I hope that they're helping you to do that too on the Northern Hemisphere. That's what it's really all about. It's about choosing your attitude and recognising that you are in control of how you respond to things, and I think that's really exciting with Beltane. Prosperity Begins from the Psychic Tarot Oracle by John Holland. I chose this for two reasons. Firstly, I think Beltane is a wonderful time to give thanks, a wonderful time to really maintain that attitude of gratitude and fine-tune it and think every day about what you are so grateful for, because we're seeing the earth spring into life and it kind of almost just makes you feel more of a sense of abundance perspective. In fact, you don't even feel abundance perspective, you become it around Beltane. It's crazy. These outpourings of gratitude are so important for the soul. They are so important for the soul. And anybody who tends to feel lack perspective with regard to abundance, or as though they don't have material security, those feelings of gratitude which automatically come to you around the time of Beltane actually tend to align you more with different avenues and different openings and doorways for abundance to come in. It's weird, but that's just how the universe works, and I can attest to that in my own life. So gratitude every single day, I really recommend it, and I think it's something that just comes more naturally around Beltane, but it's something that we can all recognise, is that adopting daily gratitude, thinking every day for even the tiniest things and the most seemingly insignificant or incidental things that we're grateful for, is such a potent medicine. It's such a remedy for so many ills in your life, and that's something that really never fails to escape me around Beltane. I am losing my voice, but I have been talking to people on Skype and on the phone all day, so I'm going to forgive myself. The other reason I chose Prosperity Begins is because of abundance magic, money manifestation, that kind of stuff. I'm going to be doing a video about this soon, but I just wanted to say, for all of you manifesting types, you new age paradigm shifters, you witchy people, all of you that really believe that you can use energy, you can direct energy, you can bring things to you, you understand how to tap into the energetic field, or how to work with your spirit guides to get something that you really want out of what is constant abundance. You want to direct a little more of it to you. I would say Beltane is a great time for money manifestation, abundance magic, thinking about what else you can do, really heightening your sense of potency and power to actually obtain abundance and understand really what it is. I'm going to go into this with my video about abundance magic, but just remember that abundance is a state of mind, and Beltane really speaks to your sense of abundance. So if you want to do money magic, abundance magic, you want to manifest something, you want to think about what you need materially, what you want for your sense of security, really start to examine these things during Beltane if that is your bag, because I think Beltane is a great time to do it. And finally, I just wanted to say that whenever the weather comes back to a really potent or kind of intense time, like for example the dead of winter, when the dead of winter comes and you get that sharp, you know, smell, and everything's so cold and bleak looking and stark, and there's ice on the grass, I always think about where I was this time last year, because the weather triggers me. It triggers me back. It gives me memories of where I was this time last year. And that gives me that excellent opportunity to think about how much I've evolved and how much I've grown since this time last year. Beltane is no different. Beltane is this time in the UK where you really start to smell the summer coming, or you really start to be able to smell a summer storm. You see flowers that you haven't seen since this time last year. You hear bird call again. You hear different things that you haven't heard since last year, you know. It's a fascinating time of memories coming up, you know, memories of this time last year. And sometimes when summer arrives and you start to get those little triggers of where you were last year, it's not always going to feel nice, I'm going to admit. Sometimes you weren't in a great place this time last year, and you don't really want to think about those memories, and yet they come up because you see some snowdrops, or they come up because you hear the ice cream van again, you know, and you haven't experienced any of those things for a whole year. So sometimes it makes you remember where you were this time last year. And so I chose Memories of Love, again from the Psychic Tarot Oracle by John Holland, because it really made me think about the memories that I always experience when summer comes of what I was doing last year. And I used that as an opportunity to learn my lessons, to really absorb them, to do my shadow work if I need to recognise how far I've come, and to understand how I've evolved as a person since this time last year. And that really excites me. That's something that I enjoy, and it's something that I enjoy more as I kind of assimilate with the 8 points on the wheel of the year. That is something that I always recognise, and I go back through my book and I have a look at the ritual that I did the year before, and I think about, you know, what the main themes were and what was coming up for me. And it's such an incredible chance to reflect. It really is, and it is so wonderful for your sense of personal development. So I really recommend that you do it. These have been my cards for Beltane and beyond. I really hope they've been helpful to you. I am on Twitter now, guys, so I will leave the link below if you would like to read my tweets. I tweet mainly quotations that I like, videos that I'm enjoying, and little gems from the archive from my blog, because I have been blogging since 2011. So I sometimes kind of reintroduce posts that I haven't for a long time, give you a bit of news about my world, just random thoughts that I'm having. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, go ahead. And until next time, much love, blessed Beltane, and blessed be.